Last year as an experiment, I asked people on Reddit using only words to invent an original pony character from scratch. I took 5 of their text prompts and asked 4 pony artists, Brittany Ackerman, Aaron Ericard, Skelly Doodles, and a 4th artist who asked to remain anonymous, to draw the characters based only on the text description given, just to see how their interpretations would differ. For example, one of the prompts asked for, quote, a baby alicorn who hides her wings with magic and secretly goes around killing people, covering it up by acting adorable. Her cutie mark is a star with black wisps of smoke around it, which she also hides with magic, and she wears a sort of bracelet around her horn. And as expected, the 4 drawings vary pretty wildly. You'll see this with the 2020 release of This Pony Does Not Exist, a model that uses AI to generate images of ponies by being trained off 100,000 Derpy Buru images without the artist's consent. Made by a creator who intended the website to be a one-off goof, but didn't really expect AI art to gain a following like it has, and more or less shrugs his shoulders at anyone with concerns about artist ownership. But I'm not here to talk about that. This episode is more of a celebration of pony fan art than anything, a sort of acknowledgement to all the amazing people in the community we do have. I'm also looking forward to providing a place to get started for people that maybe want to start making something but don't know where to begin. Lilac is a light purple filly with a light brown messy ponytail. She wears a cross necklace and her talent is thinking up story ideas. She's cautious and loves to read, and her hobbies are reading, writing, drawing, and roleplay. Her cutie mark is a thought bubble with a pencil writing blue words inside. In the 2013 companion book, The Art of Equestria, Mary Jane Began points out that ponies are made up of a head and a bean shape, that a pony's head makes up about 1/3 of their height, and that they're generally taller than they are long. This is what's known in the animation industry as being on model, when a character adheres to the model sheets provided to artists by production so that the show's animation appears consistent. But when it comes to fan art, I encourage you to take all that information and forget about it completely. Part of the enjoyment of learning to draw is coming up with your own style and settling on the way you express the subjects you care about. I've seen cute, grungy, simplistic, realistic, even completely abstract representations of ponies, and it's that kind of expressiveness that I love about the fandom. It's also why you gotta learn not to feed weird Twitter discourse about how ponies should be drawn. A couple years ago, most of the Brony fandom got whipped into a frenzy by a now deleted tweet about how a pony's neck should connect to their head at the back of their skull, and that any other way of drawing them was some kind of affront to nature. This went on for almost a week, and while that is where you'll generally find the necks of horses and humans, that seems like a really weird hill to die on. Not being able to experiment with different body proportions as a matter of principle feels really limiting. Same goes for the eyes. The show uses an oval shape with a 2-toned gradient and 2 highlight streaks, but luckily for the fandom, eyes are the part of the body that I'd say almost every artist draws differently. Same thing goes for mouths for that matter. There's a ton of room for expression and experimentation, and I think that's something you should embrace. I'd like a female Pegasus deer hybrid, pastel colored with a splotchy, splattery design. They wear fancy sneakers and sweaters, cute and dorky, but confident and open with their interests. Their hobbies include arts and crafts and photography, and their favorite film is Annihilation, the horse version. Another thing you get to further appreciate when drawing your favorite characters is appreciating all the effort that went into the character designs in the first place. Simpsons creator Matt Groening is a big proponent of the animation tip of making sure you can tell your characters apart even in silhouette. It's a great way to know that you have distinct character designs for your cast. Even My Little Pony does this, despite not having a lot of ways to make horses look distinct. If I show you these silhouettes, you already know these characters without having to think about it. The same goes for color choice. Your brain is constantly making subconscious connections without you having to recognize the subject matter. Regular people look at this color palette and think nothing of it, but these colors have subconsciously taken on so much meaning that other My Little Pony media can add in obscure little references using just these 6 colors. I also like how the main 6 are good representations of different color schemes. Like analogous for using the main color and its neighbors, complementary for using 2 colors that are opposites or near opposites on the color wheel, and even monochromatic. Show that I really respect is that almost none of the ponies' coats are completely saturated colors. In the real world, the nature of light is rather messy, and completely saturated colors are uncommon enough that they're usually reserved as warning signs or things that need immediate attention. My character is a purple, white, orange, and blue cool-headed Pegasus pony around the age of the main 6 with white fetlocks. They're non-binary with a messy, choppy hairstyle, and they enjoy skateboarding. They have a chip in their right ear from a childhood flying accident, and they like to wear a tattered scarf that they've sewn various tournament patches into. Their cutie mark is a wheel and a lightning bolt. When it comes to improving yourself as an artist, the first thing I recommend is trying to draw something outside your comfort zone, or based on a prompt you don't normally experiment with. This is why Equestria Daily throws the annual Newbie Artist Training Grounds, a month-long event that challenges pony artists to draw something every day of the month related to a different prompt. It's amazing to see what everyone comes up with, and it's a great way to breathe new life into the art scene. I can't recommend it enough. I also want to introduce you to Brittany Ackerman. This entire video was almost a Brittany Ackerman appreciation post, and a lot of it is because she's constantly coming up with cute little drawing challenges just for fun. A while back, she did the Chonky Horse Challenge, where you draw a pony over another animal with 4 legs. I tried this a couple times, and it's a great exercise, though it does work a little better if the animal you're using has a bone structure similar to horses. She also did a stream where she took pictures of empty places submitted by viewers and drew ponies into the scene. They're all hilarious and worth checking out because the ponies are given such personality just by virtue of the environment they've been drawn into. It may sound hokey, but if you want more conventional art exercise, the best thing I can tell you is honestly just to draw a lot. And it's wild to think about all the different things I learned about my own style and the people I met along the way. I'd love to see a stallion wallflower. His body and mane would be neutral colors, beige, brown, grays, something that doesn't stand out. Maybe his mane is overlong to hide behind. No specific cutie mark, but it should be something that seems boring at first glance, but when you dig and get to know him, you see new meaning behind it. Once ponies get to know him, they find there's something really admirable in this kindness and his ability to listen. So let's put it all together and tackle the last big thing regarding pony art, making your own original character. A surprising number of people out there will have issues with how you design your OC no matter what you end up doing, like the notion that your character can't just be a blatant recolor of a canon pony to be original. And while that's something I happen to agree with, there's nothing wrong with using canon characters as a base for brainstorming. The color schemes we talked about earlier look fine, but people are also likely to criticize you if you make a character too unique. Mary Sue is a term that gets thrown around a lot as a derogatory term for a character that, among other traits, is given too many things that make them special. The big one in the pony community is apparently having an alicorn OC of any kind, but more general Mary Sue traits exist in this space too, like scars, heterochromia, or any number of hyper-specific details that people will tell you makes your OCs unrealistic. But don't worry about that. This is your character, and if they're special to you, that's great. I encourage everyone watching this to go out and make the cringiest OC that speaks to you, no matter what that means. And to show you just how little thought you have to put into your special character, I want to talk about the design process of my special boy. I've had Shuffle for about a year and a half, and part of the reason he took so long was because I couldn't decide if I was making just a pony version of myself or a character that existed distinct from myself. I asked the same question to my viewers about their OCs, and the answers were predictably all over the place, including a number of people reporting their OC being in a weird gray area. I think that's where Shuffle goes. He loves games, just like me, and he's really knowledgeable about the rules of things like checkers and Risk, but otherwise he's dumb as a rock and prone to sprinting suddenly towards any shiny thing he sees in the distance. I modeled his mane after Soren and Time Turner's hairstyles just because I thought they looked cool, and I put even less thought into the color scheme. I've loved blue and yellow for a long time, to the point that they were my wedding colors, but if I'm being really honest with myself, the colors of both my wedding and my OC were actually chosen from the sandbox level of the 1998 PC game Hot Wheels Stunt Track Driver. It literally does not have to be anything more meaningful than that. From there, it's just a matter of picking a cutie mark, if you even choose to have one at all. There's that joke going around about how every artist's OC has a cutie mark of a pen or a brush or some other art tool, but don't let that stop you. Shuffle's little booty battery doesn't even have anything to do with games. It was meant to be a mix of his abundant energy and his passion for film, so it kind of, and they've been one of my favorite ways to interact with the fandom since I joined. If you have a fun story about your OC, or you want to share some of your favorite artists in the comments, let me know. I love hearing stories about. I'll be doing a video chosen by my viewers in the community poll I ran, but until then, be good people.